Lessons learned. Glennis, can I have you start off?
No. Oh, okay. Hold on. Gotta get my dog settled over here, okay?
I got a question for Angie if you want to take care of your dog.
Uh,
Which Angie?
Angie Casimir.
Like the sweater or Led Zeppelin. Just you got to say that too, but it's spelled different.
I like the sweater.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's my question. Do you do anything to qualify the people that are doing the mentoring?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could address that, because I know, for instance, when I was in a recovery treatment, they they named me as a mentor for another person that came in, and that person committed suicide about 2 weeks after I first met him.
Mhm.
I can tell you another example of
yeah.
a case down in
Yeah.
Virginia where they had the house manager that was named, I think, 2 or 3 months, maybe like 2 months after he was entering the recovery residence. And he relapsed and violently killed one of the people that was in the recovery residence. And so that all begs the question of how do you do the qualification and are they insured in case somebody sues you because somebody makes a mistake?
Good
Yeah,
question. Good.
we are totally insured. With
Good.
anything that happens in the house, with the residents, with the staff. Our liability insurance is, as you probably all know, is not cheap. But what we do is it's a senior resident and they have to be here at least 2 months. And so they know how we operate. And also I show them and I direct them to improving my practices. And so there's some trainings on there that help them to, it's like active listening, motivational interviewing. And then I sit down with them and I have a questionnaire for them. Are they ready? And I know if they're ready or not because I'm here every day. But the improving my practices is a big, big help. And they watch the videos, and they have to do that before they are a mentor. And so if you're aware of improving my practices, it's really a good resource for any trainings. There's so many trainings. And if you're not, you can put it, you can, I have a sign in account for Sisters of Sobriety. And they, when they take their tests or their quizzes, it goes into the company. So I can bring that up and see exactly what they're taking, how they did. And they really enjoy it because it even enhances their recovery and how to deal with people. We also talk about how do we approach people. We talk a lot about approach. And so, being in recovery for a long time and doing this for 10 years, I see where the approach is one of the most important things, when it comes to new ladies or even ladies that have been here when they're struggling with something. But that approach is so important. And that's why I have them go through improving my practices. And if they have any questions or are struggling through it, I'll sit down with them because I've been doing all that for a long time and kind of I won't give them the answers they ask. Nope, because that's their quiz.
So what is
So
is there specific MI practices you have them do?
yeah, like I said, the motivational interviewing, we do ethics, we do active listening. I wish emotional CPR was on there because that's one of my favorite tools
You
to
mean
use.
emotional CMA? You mean mental health?
Emotional CPR. It's
Oh,
emotional
okay.
CPR
Okay.
class training.
Uh-huh.
And I can't find it, but I haven't really searched that tough. But
Are
it's
they
very, very
certified as a
helpful.
recovery coach?
Pardon
You
me?
get them certified as a recovery coach?
Some of them I do. I have them go through Peer 360
Okay.
if that's what they choose to do. I've had a lot of ladies come back to work for me that were residents and took the recovery coach training. So that's on them if they choose to do that. But just to mentor, they have to go through this improving my practices. And they have to sit down with me and answer that questionnaire. And we have a long discussion, even though I know them and I know how their recovery is. Now, I would not choose somebody that is a senior residence that's struggling, that isn't invested in their recovery. Only those that are invested in their recovery. And if
That was a good
there's,
question, Jeff.
what's that?
So that was a good question for Jeff that Jeff asked.
Okay.
I'll ask another good question then. Do you, and this is informed by the guy in Virginia. Do you do any inquiry on to your mentors about, do they have any criminal background, or do you do a criminal background check to make sure
Yes.
that the guy or the lady that is the mentor just didn't get convicted on killing her mentee, 2 years ago in another state?
Right. No, I do a background check on everybody that comes through.
You
Okay.
do? All your
I
residents?
do. I do.
When you
I need to
say,
know who's coming in.
who do you call for that? Where do you contact for that?
You just
I
do.
go through iChat.
Yeah, iChat's
That's
iChat?
$10. So it's $10
I go through iChat. Yep.
It's
So you
$10.
And I
have
have a
one
rainy day
home.
fund. I don't charge them for that. I have a rainy day fund for that kind of stuff. I have a rainy day fund for, say they need an ID or they need a pair of shoes for work. Because
Can-
sometimes they come
so-
in indigent, and my program is self-pay. So there's no funding here.
She's also not as
So-
big as you, Glynis. She doesn't
Huh?
have as many homes.
What's
Well, I
that?
was just
Yeah, I
going to
only
ask,
have
how
one.
many homes do you have?
I'm down to one now
Okay.
because we
Okay.
did go self-pay.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah, that's easier
Yeah.
for
I'm like,
one
who-
resident.
Not
Yeah.
so difficult. Yeah. It's
Okay.
not so
All
difficult.
observe Glennis learning something new in real
Yeah.
time.
Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
But even after 25 years, you can still learn.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
right. That's right. You can.
But it
What
is
other
an
questions do you have,
expense,
Jeff?
definitely.
Yeah, the size of your program makes a significant difference, obviously, too, in what you can do for your residents.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love it. I love that we're down to one house and I can house 10 girls and
Mhm.
we're full. And yeah, we don't have any drama, any gossip, any of that stuff because it's so small and it's a good
I'm
community.
surprised with 10 women.
No,
You gotta keep
I
that
don't
good
deal- I
culture.
don't deal
Well,
with it.
don't
No.
you find though that comes and goes with the group of women? Because you can have a very smooth running operation, and then you get one person in there that upsets the whole apple cart. And I mean,
Right.
it's been very rare that I've had smooth sailing all the way across the board. I mean, every once
Mhm.
in a while you get a really nice, it's like a dominoes effect though. When one starts to go down, they all kind of go down. It's like,
I
so,
don't
I mean,
experience that. I don't experience that because I'm here every day. I'll have them in the office and ask them what's going on. Once in a
mhm.
while, we have one of those that come in, and I believe that God brings them here and God takes them out. When it comes to somebody that's not investing in their recovery,
How does God take them out? How do they go out? I'm just wondering
how
what
does
that means. How does
take
God
them
take them
out?
out?
Because God knows that this is a spiritual program, and I don't know what happens, and it's like, okay, it's time for you to go.
You mean they
You know,
leave or you tell them they have to leave?
they usually leave. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's times when I do say, I got to refer you to, because this may not be a good fit for you. So I'm going to refer you to another recovery home because we are very structured and a lot of
Uh-huh.
girls aren't ready for the structure. So they kind of get attitudes and they get negative. And so we try to redirect that by bringing them down in the office and asking them, how can I support you? What's going on? And a lot of times, more times than not, they will come not clean, but
So
they will open up and start talking to me about what's going on. And so then we just take it from there.
this is what I need to do then. I need to open one woman's house, just one. And that will remove all the bullshit that happens within a recovery home. So in my retirement, that's what I'm going to do, I think. It's sold.
But you know,
You sold me, Angie.
that Angie, being able to be hands-on like you
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
Yeah,
and
not
that
yeah,
makes
everyone
a big
is.
absolutely.
difference. Having a small operation, you
Yep.
can be more hands-on. You're aware of what's going on. The maturity
Uh-huh.
of your population is huge too. Do you
Yep.
have more older females or do you have more younger females? Do you have
It's a
females with,
mix.
with kids and so you've got a lot of drama?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good, if you've got a nice healthy mix,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, you
fact
do
that
have a
you
nice
can
house.
be
I
there
remember.
yeah,
is huge. So
it
congratulations.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home too. I remember I came there. It's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We're in Big
starting off
Rapids
with
now. Did you go to the big yellow house or the stone house?
The stone house.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Angela, did
beautiful
you have
home.
a question for Angie?
We do have somebody with a hand up though.
Sorry, no, I had a question for next. I have a situation that our community is dealing with, and I was wondering if you guys had some suggestions for it.
Oh, I
Mhm.
see. I see.
Okay.
Did
Shoot.
Oh, sorry.
oh,
So we're a Crossroads Recovery community, but there's another, our RCO in town that has peer recovery coaches, and they do meetings there and such. They had one specific recovery coach that was serving, I would say, 15 to 20 of our residents. And he died of an overdose 2 weeks
Shit.
ago. And the residents, well, the whole community is taking it hard, you know.
Yeah.
So I really liked what you guys were talking about earlier, like how, where's my cup? Well, I'm paraphrasing, is my cup full?
Yeah.
And how am I filling my cup? So that way I'm not depleted trying to give something that I don't even have for myself.
Yeah.
And I've been spending a lot of time with our staff is small. We have a staff of three
Hmm.
to oversee all the homes and all the residents. And so I've seen two relapses, and I don't want to correlate it to what's happened because
Yeah.
obviously that's not the thing. You know, people make choices, but I know that it's it's hurt our
No.
community.
Yeah,
It
it doesn't,
has.
it certainly doesn't help somebody in early recovery. That's for sure.
Right. And so I brought in mentors from operations transformations. We've been talking about grief and the different stages of it. They, you know, if they're struggling with it and they feel, I've had a lot of phone calls from a lot of different people. I had another resident go out yesterday, and he was really close to that recovery coach who
Hmm.
went out, and
Yeah.
no one seemed to see it coming. He went to work on Friday, and Sunday he was dead. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, and
Mhm.
I don't know if anyone has any suggestions besides what I'm already doing to give them more support.
Sounds like you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're addressing the loss and the emotional reaction to it. You're working with not only the residents, but your team, your small team of three who needs it just as much, you know.
Right.
And I mean, and for you, it's about who's in your home and who is mentored by this person and your team. I mean, you can't heal a whole community, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
start with what you can, and it
Right.
sounds like you're doing all of that. And you probably, I mean, it's not that this is what I mean about a dominoes effect. You know, when one goes down, you know, sometimes with us in recovery, we just kind of, it just starts a mass falling, you know, and I'm sorry that's happened to you. That's very sad. And I think you're doing a great job addressing that though, in the best way you can at this point.
It
Um,
was a very harsh reminder that we're all just one step away, right?
yeah,
If we're not
yeah,
doing the things that we need to do
yeah,
to keep, if
absolutely.
for those who are in recovery, to keep our own recovery solid.
Yeah.
If I could add 10 cents, the same thing happened about 4 or 5 years ago with Building Men for Life.
I was just thinking about that also.
Yeah. Uh, and so one of the things, and I don't know that you control anything with the peer recovery coaches, because you mentioned that it was an RCO that did it. But to the extent that you can suggest, what they did was they started having meetings of all their peer recovery coaches.
Hmm.
Oh,
So once a month, and it was just nothing but peer recovery coaches, and they talked about how life was going on in their own lives and what
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
support they might need.
Right. I like that.
It's
Yeah.
I really
mentoring
like
the
that.
mentor. Yep.
And
Well,
we
it
have so many
seemed,
organizations here that have like Odyssey House of Port Huron. I just had lunch with them today. You know, we work really closely with them. The Dry Docks talking about getting a peer recovery coach. The RCO, B-Rock, they have theirs. And then we have our recovery
yeah.
coaches as well. So
Well,
it wouldn't,
talk to Patrick at that RCO and just tell him. And if he wants to call anybody, either can call me or Keith Walters here at Building Men for Life, and be happy to tell him, here's how they addressed it, and if they can get any benefit from that, fantastic.
okay. All right.
When
Thank
I
you.
ran homes many years ago, we had lost an individual as well. And I was in Kent County. And Kent County, there was Network 180 at the time. I reached out to Network 180 and I was familiar with them too because I used to work for Hope Network, ran AFC homes and stuff. I let them know what had happened and they actually sent out a grief counselor to the home. We had a big meeting set up and they were actually able to talk with each individual just to kind of give the people in the group an opportunity to speak.
Hmm.
I think that was very helpful.
Okay.
Another thing is just as a reminder, losing, and we've all lost somebody very close to us and stuff. Grief looks very different for everybody.
Right.
So somebody might all of a sudden they're just mad at the world and they're just exploding over nothing, or 2 weeks later all of a sudden they can't figure out why they can't sleep at night, or
Right.
there's different things that can happen, and in grief people handle grief differently. So and it's okay, and just
Right.
let them know it's okay. We're all going through this right now, and but I would reach out to in the community to your local community mental health agency and see maybe if they have that service. It was free. They came, or maybe you can say, hey, there's this person available here. Here's a number, so people can actually reach out on their own if they feel they need to. But and let them know it's okay. If all
Right.
of a sudden you find that, all of a sudden I just can't sleep, or I'm just irritated, or, I mean, it could be they're going through the grief process, and it could happen later down the road. So it's a good thing to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel like in general, a monthly support group. I know everyone has regular like house meetings and stuff like that, but if you were to get together like a monthly support group for when these things happen, everyone can go and voice like how they're feeling and how they're dealing with it, or if they're even if it's a few months later, they'll have this monthly support group if they still need to talk about it, if they still need to vent things out, just so people aren't holding things in. That's when bad things can happen. People need to have a way to like air it out in a space that feels safe to do that, you know?
There's a lot of support groups too on Facebook. I mean, you can put something in Facebook, support group for loss of a spouse or loss of a friend or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of support groups out there that are available. But yeah, having something within your organization, you can't assume that, oh, they'll talk to their sponsor about it.
Mm.
He's got family. They'll, that's,
A lot of
don't
people
always
don't bring it things like that up too, unless they're in a space that's like asking you to bring it up. A lot of people don't want to just go and just randomly drop that on somebody or bring it up at a regular house meeting. They want to be in a space that's already asking them to talk about it, so they don't feel like a burden on people when they're dealing with something.
or they may not feel they have any issue at all. They might think everything's fine, but then that something's
Mhm.
off, and person may realize it. But
Well,
it
it
can
just
affect the house.
well, it creates an instant chaotic situation when you have somebody that you lose like that in a recovery housing unit. It's just instant chaos and sorrow, so kudos to you for pulling in the troops and having somebody come in and talk about grief and loss. And I'm you responded quickly, and I commend you for that. And you can clearly tell that you care about what happens to them. So
Thank you. And thank you for all the feedback.
yeah, keep up the good work there, Angie.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Okay, let's talk about mistakes. Anybody make any mistakes?
Yeah, let's talk about biggest mistakes. That was a great topic that somebody brought up. That was I feel like that would be a really interesting one.
Nobody made any
Anybody
mistakes.
have what in their mind is probably
I
their
can tell
biggest
you
mistake?
one. Anybody got one?
I want to hear Glynis's biggest mistake.
Well, I didn't say biggest. I said it's a mistake, but I had this. Actually, I didn't make the mistake. Let me rephrase that. One of my recovery housing staff came to me to advocate for a woman to go see her children. And I didn't think she was ready. And I said, no, I don't feel that she's ready. I said, but tell me why you think she is. And they gave me the reason why. And I said, I feel like you're missing something here. And then I listed all the things that she hadn't done. And this woman who worked for me kept saying, well, but her drive is her children. If she can't see her children, I mean, she was debating that with me pretty heavy. And I said, okay. I said, if that's what you think she needs to do, um, and if you support that, then, this is your lesson to learn. Um, and the woman left her kid at the dope house that night and overdosed, and they dropped her off in the parking lot of the emergency room. And I okayed that because I wanted one of my staff to learn. So even though I knew it was a bad idea, so the lesson learned there is I have to trust my gut, and you have to trust your gut. Um, I mean, I've had a lot of lessons learned with not trusting my gut with staffing, with residents, and but those are horrible lessons learned. So I knew she wasn't ready. Um, and I don't like to be this big micromanager, I like my team to learn and experience things. And that's one that happened to me, and that was a mistake that I try not to make anymore. But we're all human, and she learned her mistake, and she resigned, and and she said to me, don't you ever get tired of them lying to you? And I said, I'm sorry, this sounds terrible. I assume they're lying until they prove me wrong. Um, because I'm a recovering addict. You know what I mean? And I know that's who we are, and it's not, I don't look at it as a horrible thing. That's just part of who we are and what we developed into due to our drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? So, that's my view on it. But I mean, that was something that I had to live with, and it was hard for me to live with that for a while. Anybody else?
Can anyone relate?
So earlier,
It-
go ahead.
Dave here in Ann
Hi, Dave.
Arbor. Hi. Uh, that I don't relate to that one. I mean, I'd like to pivot. I have a mistake.
Hmm.
Um, I I let a hoard get out of hand, where a gentleman, a tradesman with a lot of tools, started collecting his tools in the house. The van was broken. I looked the other way.
Mm-hmm.
This person works in renovating like huge blocks of apartments. So he comes across furniture and home decor and strange electronics and items constantly, and starts bringing them home. Hey, someone might use this. Hey, someone might need this. At first, it was like, oh, how cool. Yeah, thanks. Where are you resourcing this from? Oh, it was being thrown out. Oh, this was being thrown out, which is true, especially during the move-in week in this particular town in the
Yes.
fall.
Mm-hmm.
You can find, whole dining room sets on the side of the road, but he keeps bringing it in, and I'm looking the other way, because I'm the manager of one building, but I'm also the coordinator of the whole program. So
Yeah.
there's always someone somewhere having a moment that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And the cobbler's children wear no shoes, right? So like my own house is falling apart because by 5 p.m. I get home. The last thing I'm thinking about is, what new has he stored up in the apartment? And it got to this ridiculous level. And these are shared apartments. So, when
Yeah.
the whole place looks like one guy's apartment and there's a roommate that gets a twin bed tucked in the back, we think we've reached crisis levels. And then I have to step in and say, we can't do this. Where does it say that in the handbook? It doesn't say it in the handbook because this is a novel situation. This has never happened to me before. So what do? Run to my laptop and add it to the handbook and send it to the printer so I can get a fresh one back in time to show him, you are now my new example. I've created a new rule. No more hoarding. Well, define hoarding. Look around, so it led to this really sticky, weird moment between me and the resident, who's a senior peer, and a big brother. We use the big brother, big sister program also. That vibe of like the one longest in the house becomes like the guide.
Yeah.
They need to set an example.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so now here we have this, and it was a tense couple of days where I involved clinical staff from our agency that had worked with this individual through outpatient to help me do some de-escalation and some sort of restorative circle thing to help him understand that I dropped the ball and make like a formal amends to him.
Yeah.
And hand in hand with the amends, let's work together to fix this. So then I partnered with him to slowly start picking apart like what this is actually garbage, sir. That kind of that sort of thing. It was a trip. I'll not do that again. And I guess the crux of the mistake is I got complacent as a house manager.
Yeah.
And thought if I don't see it, it's not happening. And that's certainly not true.
His roommate sure knew it was happening.
But really good for you to be able to say you were wrong. And because I think that's important, when we let something go and then we want to tell them that they created a mess. You know what I mean? So yeah, congratulations to that, because a lot of people can't say, a lot of us can't say that I apologize. I'm gonna make amends to you because I should not have let this happen. So I mean, and that does happen,
What was
They-
the new rule? Like, how have you been able to like avoid this in the future? Like, do you only give them a certain amount of space? Like, they can only bring in the amount of things that'll fit this certain space? Like, what did you, I guess, adjust your rules to?
Well, all of our homes are furnished, and everything in the kitchens is up and running already. So, I forget how I worded it. I don't have it memorized. It's something like replacement or new furniture coming into the home needs to be approved by that location's house manager or the coordinator.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What about people who don't hoard furniture? What if
People
someone
who-
tries to come in and they hoard all the, like the little boxes that like food comes in? Just like piles up in the corners or something.
Well, you know what I do see a lot of is people, especially in their first month. I know I was like this, like when I did detox after detox, and then I think I was at Sacred Heart my first time. And when you own nothing, and it's kind of institutionalization, like you collect sugar packets
Huh?
and like stir sticks and detergent packets, and like, oh, I got a free toothpaste from the church. Like those things start to like line up on the dresser, and you start thinking like, oh, this is all I own in the world.
Yep.
And then you've got too many socks from the donation lady, and then you've got too many shoes from the guys at the meeting, and it just starts to build and build and build, because they're still in that lack mentality of I'll never get this again.
Mm-hmm.
So then you start picking it apart. And we don't do any kind of clinical therapy in the homes. So I'm left up to motivational interviewing and pointing out discrepancies, and sitting with someone and giving my bandwidth, maybe an hour or more, to them to explain why this is normal and can be controlled.
I can make two suggestions, David.
Yeah.
One is I've seen other operators that have said in the resident agreement that there's a limitation on what the resident can bring in. And they typically say you can bring in enough clothing and personal items that would be able to fit into 2 suitcases, for instance. The other issue that you might run into, and this is if you got 100, you're going to run into this eventually, is somebody's going to be bringing things in to the house. They'll have TV sets, they'll have different things in there, and then they'll disappear. And so you want to have something in your resident agreement that says you are not a bailee, and you don't have any duty to maintain or preserve or keep safe any of their items. And my guess is you probably did not put that in there unless you at least went to 1 year of law school.
In our handbook, we say that we'll hold your belongings for 72 hours if you vanish or have a return to use, or you go to the hospital or jail or whatever, but you have to remain in touch with us. So after 72 hours, if we haven't heard from you, a lot of it goes to the garbage, to the dumpster. And this is difficult because sometimes men, especially in housing, will turn into vultures and attack the absent guy's belongings. I want this. I want this. And that's when the house manager's got to be really proactively present to say, nope, we're bagging this stuff up in black bags you can't see through, and it's going to the dumpster. If this is somebody that we're rewrapping back into services, we do have offsite storage that we keep kind of on down low, so we can hold stuff for a minute while they re-engage our continuum of care. But that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add the word, you're not a bailee. Add that sentence.
Well, a lot of times when people come in, everything they own in the world fits on a twin size bed. That's it. And then when they're getting ready to leave someday, hey, I know I'm going to move out someday, so I'm going to need a vacuum. I'm going to need my own pots and pans. I got to have this because I'm going to have an apartment. And I know, in 6 months. So, the room slowly starts filling up too. So it's not an easy subject. Because we want them to move on. We want them to have that stuff when they're ready to move. They got to have that stuff a lot of times. So
just like a dorm room, they're only going to be there for a certain period of time and then they're going to leave. And in a dorm room, you can't accumulate everything for your next apartment. And again, we are not bailees.
Mm-hmm.
And to start that rule from the very beginning is really a dresser you can't even see the top of because he's got so much. We only allowed, when we ran homes, They could have an AA book, or they could have a family photo. They could have a couple personal things, but they were not allowed to fill. It would have to go into a drawer or in a bin that could go underneath their bed or something. We didn't want them to. But once you allow it, it can get away so quickly. And if you don't have somebody that's a day-to-day contact or sees somebody they'll fill that room up in 2 days easily. So it will get away from you, like you said. But you had bigger fish to fry, and there's always bigger fires to put out. So
Can I ask, let's see, Amanda, because Amanda, I know that you're new at recovery housing, and I'm wondering if there's anything that you took you back or you learned early on that you seemed significant to you.
Can you clarify a little bit more? Like, you mean with the residents in the house,
Yes.
or
Yep.
honestly, for me, and this is I'm still in like my first month and a half of doing this, and I think so far the biggest thing for me is the rules and the expectations for each resident, and finding just the different personalities, right? Some of the residents that come in are they are on it. They make sure that their appointments, their drops, all the expectations are followed. No problem. No questions asked. Then you have a lot of residents that are also just bucking up against every little thing. They are challenging every little thing. And so taking the peer support hat off and putting program manager hat on has been the biggest, I think, for me, because as a peer, I want to school them a little bit. Like, what are you guys doing? I want to support them and encourage them and be like, you guys, come on. This is, but being program manager, I have to have that little bit more of balance, right, between the manager side and the peer side, because I am a person in recovery. I get it. I understand that you want to collect every sugar packet. I know that now that you have a job and income, you want to buy all these clothes and have all these things. But as the program manager end of it, it's finding that supportive balance, I think, between your newer clients that are just coming from residential versus your clients that have been in the program for a while. The different attitudes, the different personalities, it's all just, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David, you got any feedback for her?
Well, I mean, I completely, Amanda, good to see your face finally.
Yes, you too.
The architecture of rules that cover all of our locations exist to keep everyone safe and exist to keep everyone reasonably happy. But everyone is a case-by-case basis, because everyone's coming out of a different story arc, a different movie of their life, and a different drug of choice. And we all know that once you get the booze and the pills or the powder out of the way, the behavioral stuff rises to the top. And if they haven't come through a treatment center, Harbor Light, Bear River, Skywood, whatever, and they're coming straight to you from a 30-day, a 28-day Oakdale, where they maybe didn't work a robust program and they weren't in the community and they don't know the mutual aid meetings of the town you're in. That stuff does require some hand holding. And I was a peer coach as well before this role. And I know that hat very well. I want to advocate for them. I want to tell them, yes, you're doing fine. And then with the other hat on, no, you're actually not doing fine. And here's where, you need to understand that these rules are in place because you're a group. There's 10 women or 10 men in a house. You're a group. Yes, you're individual, and I'll take the time to, I don't know, meet with you if need be. I mean, my office is right here on Packard Street. People visit me all the time, albeit when things are going wrong. But I have the bandwidth and I make the time for them. I got 8 hours to fill. I can't just do data entry,
Right.
So I'm willing to meet with them. And you can't get sucked into like we all have like we have our list of grievances and our victim list. Guess what happened to me today? Bam, 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 bam. And you can't get sucked into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have so much to say about this.
I know.
Good.
Dave Malash, I know you tried to speak a couple of times. Did you have anything to add?
Hi guys. Yeah, I've only been doing this recovering housing since May. I'm peer recovery to in a program manager for other programs, but I've had 2 discharges. I learned from the first one. I kind of didn't pick up on some behaviors fast enough, and then this one I just had last week. Like Glenna said, something told me in my gut to do a curfew check, and the next day I did a drug test. He missed curfew. Next day I gave him a drug screen and he tested positive. He is currently in treatment, so that went well there. But
Yeah.
just learning as I go.
That's great.
Just learning as I go, and the one struggle I'm having with I had a little bit is everybody's housekeeping, how they were raised, and what's acceptable. Um,
Yep.
All of it, man. All of it.
Yep. I've talked to Jeff about that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's just like, you know what? Everyone's idea of cleanliness is different.
I don't know if Jackson has done this or yet, but there you can make a list on what is clean. Like in a bathroom, wipe down the baseboards, clean the sink, clean out the toilet, hit the rim, like really you break it down because some people don't know. Sometimes you guys, we're dealing with habilitation versus rehabilitation. And I think that's important for us to always remember. I can't tell you the number of times I've had to go over to the women's houses to teach them how to prime a gas a lawnmower, how to put oil in a lot. I mean, these are things that they don't know. And I mean, I'm surprised at the men that don't know how to just pick up the back of a toilet and hook that thing back on it so the handle works. You know what I mean? So I mean, these are the things that we have to work with them, and that stuff is doable. It's the behavioral stuff that really gets us. But I would make a list of what is clean in the recovery housing and what is expected to be clean in each house. And because you've talked to me about these guys over there and their level of cleanliness, so you might want to just start with that.
Well, I think where it starts as well, though, is again, because everybody's idea of clean is different. Somebody might not have even lived in a house before, or maybe they lived in filth their whole life. So they look at a recovery resident's bathroom, they're like, it's okay to me. But no, you got to every day water in the tub, sprinkle Ajax, and then you take this rubber, and then this is what you clean it with, and then you clean the mirror and you clean this, I mean, they need to be shown step by step, this is how you do it. There's recovery homes I've actually seen. They actually have a list in every room of the kitchen. This is what needs to be done in detail. Did you do your chore? This is what needs to be done with your chore. For the bathroom, this is what needs to be done daily with the bathroom. So I mean, sometimes having stuff a little bit more detailed helps. And plus, showing somebody, we can't assume they know that you're supposed to, that bottom part lifts up and I'm actually supposed to scrub the inside of the toilet. Yeah, and make sure they have the stuff that they need to clean. Do you have gloves? Do you have the Ajax? Do you have window cleaner? Do you have a mop? where they can clean the bath. You don't want them cleaning the bathroom with the one mop and then with urine and then cleaning your kitchen. You just things you want to think about. Do you have separate things? And if you don't have the proper cleaning supplies, then it's on you too. So as an operator, it's important to make sure that people are educated and they have the things that they need. So great conversations. And David, I have to say, you're amazing. And Dawn Farms, where David is from, is operator of the month for the month of November. So you do amazing things, and I'm looking forward to announcing that in the November. But it was nice to see you on here today. I'm like, yeah, that's operator of the month for November. But
Good job, David.
you do a good job. What else are we going to bring up? What else do you guys want to talk about? We've got a great group this time.
Any other big mistakes or biggest mistakes?
I definitely had one. So, I had my first, I think, encounter with a screening, um, doing screenings for intake. Our our form is pretty thorough, but when we got to the part where we ask about any physical limitations that the client may have when coming into housing, this gentleman just kind of skipped through real quick. But rewinding the tape, he made mention of things that I probably should have questioned deeper. I probably should have asked him a little bit more about that. And going back now, of course, we're winding the tape. So the gentleman came in, I accepted him, called him, told him a bed was available. He got here. And as he's going through his medication list with me, there's another red flag I should have paid attention to, because I think we get kind of used to certain medications, the blood pressures, the thyroid, the heart, but this one particular medication, I didn't question it. I knew it wasn't on our list of medications that we didn't accept, that were a no. But I just kept on with the application. Well, I took the gentleman to his home and showed him the board, did everything. As I'm on my way out the door, he made mention to me that do you have any houses that don't have stairs? And I'm like, what's that? He then proceeded to tell me that he has a certain condition that I think I definitely should have been more aware of from the very beginning. And so thankfully we worked through that and we got him situated in a better place. But I think with me during those screenings, those intake screenings, I think now, of course, I'm going to know their blood type. I'm going to know everything by the time I get done with that application, with that screening. But, just learning when to dig in a little bit deeper versus when to just go ahead and move on to the next question. That was a big one for me, because after I had found out that this gentleman had a certain condition that can cause his legs to go out from underneath him a little bit, all I could think that entire night was like, oh my gosh, he's going to fall down the stairs. Something's going to happen. It put me in a panic. So like I said, that was my big one this month, was just not necessarily getting deep enough when I should have during those screenings.
And that's the art of doing an intake.
Oh.
It really is an art, and you really have to know how to ask your questions. And we have to learn what response we need to respond back to. Yeah, so I mean, it really is an art. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, in the real world, you're never going to be like, oh, what are you taking this for? Like when you look at a medication. So it's not going to automatically come into your head to ask them something like that. But in
Right.
that kind of position, you honestly need to know what these medications are and what they're taking them for, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to
We
Yeah.
kind
kind
of
of
look in your
Lesson learned
mind.
on that one for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
we kind of learned the same way, Amanda. We're like, oh, I don't want to ask every medication, but then you're like, oh, you have no health issues, but you listed 7 different medications you're on. And so we're
Yeah.
like,
Right.
hey, can you kind of tell me about some of these? And we've had to really change our screening questions because
Yeah.
of that. Like, hey, these are the requirements of the program. Like, we even ask, do you have medical conditions that may limit you from being able to walk to certain places
Mhm.
or to
Yeah.
use stairs? Like, we had to add that.
Mhm.
Or even we've had a few people came in recently where we're like, oh, you've never made your own doctor's appointments. And so one of our screening questions now is, hey, how would you handle if a doctor's appointment had to be rescheduled or was canceled? And people be like, oh, I've never done that. So okay, maybe we're
Yeah.
not the place that can help you. And we also do another person reviews your screening too. So most screens
Oh,
come to
wow.
me as a supervisor. And so if there's anything on there where I'm like, oh, could we get a little more information? Because this seems like there could potentially be a concern with them in the
Hmm.
program or
Mhm.
something. Um, just because sometimes that second set of eyes reading over this stuff goes, oh, that seems
Yeah.
a little off or concerning. Can we look at what
Yeah.
that might be and would it
Hmm.
work here?
Well, the longer the assessment, the more you learn. The more questions you ask, the more you learn that contradict what happened, what was said in the first 5 minutes of the interview. You know what I mean? Then you have to be able to your mind has to work like that. Like, wait a minute, that's not what I heard 40 minutes ago. Are you sure? Which one is it? Because to get the real picture, but so yeah, it truly is an art and a listening. It's a skill in listening. It's
And
so
like we require our application before we do a screening. So that
yeah.
way I can go back and look at the application and be like, well, you put on your application here, or you didn't list this here. So which one is the right one? Because
Mhm.
I like those details of like, oh, wait, this doesn't quite match up to what you told me when I talked to you on the phone earlier or on your application.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds like a great standalone topic. And it brings to mind doing an intake and completing the REP evaluation, and getting that information. That sounds like a great way to kind of integrate that into the intake and the art of the intake and all of that. That's
Mhm.
actually really good information.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I just got a phone call here today while we're on here because everybody's out and they needed somebody, so they called me. And we had a guy who came in today that he came in with no clothes and no medication. And we asked what medication he was on. He didn't know what medication he was on. Um, and he had just gotten out of the hospital and he didn't have his paperwork. So I said, well, you guys need to call the hospital, see if you can get copies of the paperwork, get a signed release from him. Call and see if we can get copies of it. Well, the paperwork came back that he was in the hospital for hallucinations and there was still no medication on it. And so we had to tell him that, we're going to look for a different level of care and they need to redo your assessment and he would need a higher level of care than what we had. And he was very angry and he said, I just told them I had hallucinations. Um, yeah, something just happened about on my thing. Are you guys still there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Um, and he said, I just told them that I was lying to them. And I said, well, we can't go by that. We got to go by what the doctors reported, in your medical. Like we can't take you unless you have another assessment and maybe a different level of care. I then called Amanda, who I said, Amanda, you got to take care of this because the only person in the office wasn't anybody that really knew how to handle this situation. So I called Amanda to have her take care of it. But This is the clients that we serve. He went into and he said the reason he lied about it because he needed a place to sleep that night, and so are you coming here for another place to sleep tonight? Like you have no clothes, I mean, this is the population we serve, and I'm not even sure that the doctors there did a great assessment because they had nothing on medication. He swears he takes medication. So I don't know. Somebody didn't have the art of assessment down with this person. So
Mm.
it's
But he
really,
admitted to lying in the hospital. I mean, how do you know everything coming out of his mouth isn't just a lie to get
well,
something
right.
else that he wants,
Yeah,
So,
and you just don't know, but you also can't take the liability,
right.
if there's no medication and he's hallucinating, I mean,
Mhm.
so it's, it makes it hard on the organization because you don't want to just turn people away.
Right.
So yeah, it's very difficult. Yes, the art of assessment.
Yeah, he was quite interesting to handle.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Speaking
I
of
think
medications, that's something too, is when people come in with medications, a lot of times they have no idea why they're on it. And just, I don't
I
know, I've been
know.
on it
Yeah.
forever, especially their mental health meds, and if they know
Yeah.
the reason they're on there, you kind of, well, this one's for your thoughts, or this one's, kind of educate yourself on it. So we've
Yep.
had people in that I've actually helped them. They set them up themselves in a med minder. Do you know what this one's for? Well, this one's for your thoughts, and this one helps you with your mood. Because if they understand what it's for, why they're taking it, they're more apt to continue taking it, which is important, especially if they have a mental health issue as well. So,
Yeah.
well, what a great meeting. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you
Thank
all
you,
for
It
everybody.
sharing.
was.
It's the largest meeting we've had yet with lessons learned, I think. So, did you have a question,
Y-
Samantha?
Yeah, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So, I have a resident that she was messing with the refrigerator dial repeatedly. I would change it to the recommended setting. She would change it saying her this is getting frozen. She's wasting money, da da da. So I just get the refrigerator replaced. Okay, the refrigerator's busted. We'll get a different one. We get a different one. She's again changing the dial.
Mm.
Do I set it, tape it, and then say if it gets changed again, there will be like curfew consequences? Like, what do I do with this?
Curfew?
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, something.
Gonna lock the
Yeah.
refrigerator.
Who is this talking?
Sam
Where are you from,
Sac
Samantha?
Sacred Heart House.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't
You're
see
good.
anybody. Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Here I am.
Oh,
Hi.
hi,
Hi.
Samantha.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? I don't, I do consequences. Yep. Consequences.
And I don't
Be-
even want to pinpoint it out because it's just like, oh, I didn't do it. I didn't change it. And I'm just like, hmm. Because there's been like where she wants to go to the director and talk because apparently my credentials just aren't good enough for her uh to listen to, or I don't see her recovery in a certain way, or she thinks I think that I don't know how she said it. She thinks I uh separate her from the rest because her financial status is better than or something. I don't know.
oh my
So there's
goodness.
a
Messing with my
weird
fridge.
relationship between me and her. She does great. She does great. Like her
She
recovery is
sounds
like,
great.
yes, like her recovery is awesome. If I could glue her recovery, like her meeting attendance and her therapy and her appointments and like all that, she's like poster for the perfect
How is she
client.
with other residents?
That too. I want my fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables on the counter, but it's causing fruit flies and rotting apples. You don't need a bushel of apples. You're one human. You need one apple, right?
Um,
You don't need a bushel. I want you to have your fresh fruits like we tried to well, maybe you need a fruit basket in your room and have your fruit flies in your room. Like, so
You
it's
know,
been fine.
that sounds to me a person who's going to continue to be a problem. She's not
Yes,
going to be happy. How long has she been there?
since June.
So maybe it's time for her to leave. Maybe she doesn't need you guys anymore. And
She
that's the way I frame it.
graduated, right?
Yes, that's the way I frame it to them. It
Congratulations.
seems like you
And
don't need us anymore.
when the 90 days for the insurance came, and gone, and now she's at self-pay, and she's like, well, I would like to continue paying rent here. And I'm
Not
just
rent.
You
like,
don't
Gotta
accept
correct
rents.
them.
No, we don't
I'm like,
do rent. We do program fees, and you seem to
yeah,
be
or
doing
whatever,
your own
however.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably time for her to go.
Yeah.
She's outgrown you. And that's what I say, you've outgrown us. So,
Right.
you
I
know,
Make
I
your
feel
own
that that
future
might
and
be the
redirect.
yeah,
direction things are going.
yeah.
But that affects everybody else's food too. You can't, you're not supposed to adjust the thermostat on the wall. You don't mess with the
Right.
furnace. You don't mess with the water heater. You don't mess with the
Yeah.
refrigerator
Standard
stuff. You
settings
start
for the
doing,
equipment, and yes. So
yep, yep, that's affecting
we have a
everybody.
maintenance guy. He can mess with it. He knows what he's doing. I do not. I know that the fridge says recommended setting, and you set it to it and you leave it alone for at least 3 days because those things take time to listen. So,
Mhm.
So
yeah.
You
I
already
don't know.
cost your organization of money. You bought another fridge.
Another fridge. Yes.
I don't know this person at all, but my immediate thought to this is she's outgrown herself and she thinks she deserves something different than everybody else. Or B, there's a diagnosis there that's been unattended to. That isn't going to really change. And she can do great that she's doing her meetings and great she's got her supports and all that. Thank goodness for that because she's going to need that because she's ready to go now. I mean, um, because you know what it does is what Catherine just said. It affects everybody in the house because everybody in the
Right.
house starts maybe either they respond the same way she does, they start responding the way they do. It's like a younger brother who watches the older brother.
I don't even
It's
know how to respond to it because
yes.
of her going to my higher ups and saying that I'm, certain way, and then we've had to do things differently with her recovery, with my relationship with her because of it.
And that's not okay.
It sucks because
Yeah.
I tried to set a one-on-one with each other, so it's not like a whole house thing, and she cancels every time and just
So
doesn't have anything to do.
how does your supervisor respond to that? Is
She tells her, you know what? I have all my trust in her abilities to manage the house. That's why she has the position. And that you need to coordinate with her and stop emailing me on this. We've addressed it. That's what it is. And, so she backs me,
There's
she,
well, good.
grievance
and I
procedure
keep
too.
paper trails of everything. And
Of
like,
course you do. Sounds
Yeah,
like we have a
that's good.
borderland.
There's a grievance. There's grievance in place, you know what I mean? So that she should be handling, she's going over the grievance process and going over your head and going, yeah. So I'm glad your supervisor's backing you up.
Yeah.
They
yes,
should.
me too.
I think I would talk to my supervisor and just say, I think we're just gonna let her know that she can leave now and
Yeah,
we can
maybe
we
start
can
trans.
set a date.
Yeah.
If she needs us to help her find a place, we can do that, but clearly she doesn't need us anymore.
Yeah, because I think one of her goals on her individual recovery plan is independent housing. So maybe we'll focus on that goal. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, for the fridge too, all you have to do is say it's a food safety issue. The fridge cannot be put above this temperature, or the food
Or
is at
below,
risk.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
below. Yeah.
And I have thermometers, like above 40 is dangerous for food.
That's
Like,
probably going to go in
Yeah, starts
one ear and
rising.
out the other with her, though.
yes,
Yeah, she's
because,
not going to listen to that.
yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing,
I
Samantha.
mean, and I would set a date. That's what I mean, I set dates. You got 30 days, seems like you're okay and you're doing well. Is she working?
Yes,
Mhm.
she's a teacher.
Oh, well, then she's good.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, she's good to go.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you for all the wonderful insight. And
Yeah.
I will make sure that the things that everybody needs to know are in place.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Good
Thank
luck.
you for sharing.
Thank you, everybody,
Let
for
us know how that
attending.
went.
I will. I will. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you for sharing.